Record to the cloud. All right. Hey, well, we are here. Well, at least I am here with Brian Montgomery.
Rob, I'm coming in.
Well, yeah. I thought, okay. I was hoping. I thought maybe you're late. So there he is, coming in from way. Wow. Yeah. Get yourself landed.
Yeah. I'm just doing a spacewalk there. Coming in.
Checking things out on the outside, are you?
Well, you know, there's some people out here without masks, if you can believe it. I'm like, maybe you want to put one on, but.
Well, Brian, you know, when the social distancing thing, they said 6 feet, not miles.
Oh, I thought it was not miles. Oh, that'd be a lot easier.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot easier. But there's fewer people at Aldi up here. I can get right into Aldi, and that's not a problem.
And a better selection too, I'm thinking.
That's right. And if I sneeze, this comes right down. So you'll be everyone will be okay.
You're ready for NHL hockey and that thing, or NFL football. That's what they're going to be wearing when they come back, I think I heard.
I'll be ready. Absolutely. Okay, there we go. Now
okay.
Oh wait, and I can see you. I can see everybody viewing this right now. As a matter of fact, hi, everyone. Hi.
Hi. What are they doing? Do we want to know?
Clicking to something else? It looks like right now. Hurriedly looking for anything else. What haven't they binged yet? And there they go.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I used to be in terrestrial radio, and now I'm just a satellite myself.
Satellite radio.
No, I'm just a satellite. There I go. Wait. Bring it on. Give me bring it on back. Bring it on back.
Good catch.
So it was like basically 30 years in Pittsburgh radio, and then somebody got wise to me, and that was it.
They voted you off the planet.
Somebody finally said, "Oh, is this guy on the radio?" But at the Magic 97 was my start, and then moved over to just about 23 years at WDSY. So rock, country, and my tastes run wilder than that even. So. Oh,
did you see that thing fly by you there?
Yeah.
That was a close call.
Not every 5 minutes we you know, and you're like, okay.
You got to watch. Yeah, just be careful up there.
It's that International Space Station, and of course they drive on the wrong side of the road.
There's all kinds of junk flying around up there, so just
Absolutely. Believe it.
And be sure you're on the right side of the road up there, because this isn't America anymore.
That's right. Wait, I got to just. Oh, there he comes. You know, and they travel in kilometers per hour. I don't even know how fast that is. So
now, rumor has it though that I think I recall that you also know a little bit about blues music. You may have gotten your start in radio in college.
Oh, that's true. Way back at WFSE in Edinburgh. And it was a magazine format station, meaning it wasn't one solid format. It could be rock, and then it could be something else, and then something else, and soul and jazz. And Sunday nights, I had a blues show, which was a ton of fun. And it was just spinning discs and picking your own songs and
okay. Wasn't sure where you're going with that.
But to get to there, hang on one second. I'm going to just take a deep breath so I could pull that off for a second. I'm usually pretty good for a little while without that. You wouldn't think, but sunblock, a lot of sunblock you need.
Yes, yeah, extra SP90 500,000. Right.
So, like a lot of people, I got turned on to the blues in the early 80s. Post-disco, Blues Brothers came in. And a lot of it was as a high school student, just going to see the Blues Brothers as a movie. I just want to see it as a movie. Mm-hmm. And came away going, what is this music? You know, I mean, it was so immersive and so joyous. And so I really got into it there. There's a radio station in town called WYEP. Rob, I don't know if you're familiar with WYEP. And I think it was Wednesday nights, there was a fella named Jeff, and he had the Blues in the Night show. And of course, it was tough on a school night, but I would stay up and listen. And I remember calling in because I read the novelization of the Blues Brothers movie, right? And in the novelization, they make a reference to Elwood being drunk and riding in an elevator and singing "Got My Mojo Working." Just that's all he was doing in this hotel, was just riding up and down. And I thought, I've never heard the song. I remember called Jeff at like 11:30 at night, snuck downstairs while my parents are asleep, called Jeff, and I said, I got to hear the song. And he played it, and I was like, what? Now who is this? This Muddy Waters now was a thing. Yeah, and it's the blues is a tree with deep roots and many branches, and you can pick a branch and go forever. So
it's like a backwards rabbit hole. You go right backwards down the rabbit hole.
Exactly. Well, a country CD though, an album, of course, at the time, was, I don't know if we could see, but anyway, it is Hank Jr.'s Montana Cafe. And
get the cameraman over there a little bit closer to that.
All right,
there we go.
There we go. Hank Jr.'s, the lighting is not great, but it's an out. You think with all the stars out here you could see, but Hank Jr.'s Montana Cafe. There's some fun tracks on here. There's an all-star track of Mind Your Own Business with Tom Petty, Reba McEntire, Willie Nelson, and Hank on there. But there's a song written by some guy named Willie Dixon called Can't Judge a Book. And it's Hank Jr. and Huey Lewis covering that song. And it's just it's a joyous 4+ minute jam of this song. And I chose this album as an album that really influenced me, because from that seed, I said, what is this sound? Like, I really had not explored the Bo Diddley sound or known anything about Bo Diddley. So it was like, who did this originally? Who is Bo Diddley? I have to go find, and it exploded from there. And so Bo Diddley is a gunslinger, and go Bo Diddley. And the Super Blues Band with Bo Diddley and Muddy Waters and Little Walter, and Bo Diddley and Chuck Berry, two great guitars. And so from every one of these, then you're like, well, then I got to learn more about Willie Dixon. I got to learn more about Bo. I got to go down the, and even from Bo's contemporaries, then even in rock and roll, then you're like, well, what is this Joe Tex? What is this Eddie Floyd? And it all came from just this one sound that Bo Diddley beat, and it's funny. You don't often maybe know the first time you heard something or something really struck you like that, but it was on Hank Jr.'s Montana Cafe CD, and I just thought, I got to learn more, and went down, saw Bo three times in concert, twice in one night at the Holiday House in Monroeville.
Wow.
He played an early show. We drove down from college. We drove 2.5 hours down from college, saw the early show. And it was Bo and Ron Wood at the Holiday House in Monroeville. So
Ron Wood and Bo Diddley at the Holiday House here in the Pittsburgh area.
Which then became a Farmore, and which is now a Bed Bath & Beyond, if you can imagine that. And I don't think you're going to see Ron Wood in the Bed Bath & Beyond. But
I don't think I want to
make it to the Beyond. But yeah, so we saw the first show, and it was great. It was so good. And we were getting ready to leave, and they said, hey, you know what, the second show, can you believe this, the second show really was not sold out. It was a Sunday night. I mean, I guess you could see, but if I told you right now that Bo and Ron Wood were playing at a club, I mean, right? And so they said, it's not really sold out, so everybody who's already bought tickets, if you want to come back for the second show, we'll $5 more, you can come in. And so we went back, sat right beside the stage. It was joyous. And later on, I got to see Bo. Once I was working at Magic 97, they had a magazine called Rock Flash. It was a station publication. And so I got to go and see Bo perform again in Monroeville, different venue, but then do a quick interview afterwards. And it was just a fun culmination, a super fanboy kind of thing. But it all just came from that one nugget of hearing a cover version, a really excellent cover version, and now wanting to dig. And it's amazing where that stuff can take you. I'm sure you know too.
Oh, and you mentioned that one of the artists on that record was Huey Lewis,
Mm-hmm.
and that surprised me actually. But when you think about the blues, almost every artist that's even playing today, and even the Huey Lewis, who I would not think of as a blues artist necessarily. I know that he's played with some other guys before,
Mm-hmm.
but I think of him as just your top 40. But there he
Right.
is. Even those folks, when it came to the Muddy Waters, the Howlin' Wolf, and all those folks, I had a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of a technical crash.
That's
It's windy down. You look stable up there. My thing's crashing over here.
that's all right. I dropped a trash bag earlier, and I figured maybe it was hitting you right now. So yeah, no, it's true. Well,
all those guys.
and let's go back to and even Tom Petty. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what is that? 6.5 easily.
It's a good thing you got off when you did there. Wow.
That's why up here you just float when that stuff happens.
Yeah.
Down there, even Tom Petty. Go to tompetty.com. Tom, of course, no longer with us, but his writings remain. And Bo Diddley left us. I think it was early June of 2008. Might have been like around June 1st or June 2nd of 2008. And if you look up Tom Petty, Bo Diddley, he writes a very loving tribute to a guy that he worshipped and got to know as a friend. And go online and just search Tom Petty and Bo Diddley. They do a version together on stage live of Mona, which is one of Bo's songs, as close as you get, I think, to a ballad, a Bo Diddley ballad in a way. And so Tom plays and sings, and halfway through the song, Bo comes out, and Tom just looks like it's Christmas. The entire song, Tom Petty is just gazing with this love and reverence, and the smile is just from ear to ear. It's contagious how much joy he has playing with this guy who has influenced so many, in rock. A lot of those early guys did. It's fun. And again, you go, wow, I didn't know, who knew the roots went here.
And then Tom Petty then takes that not only to his band, but then into the Traveling Wilburys.
Right. Exactly.
So there's that, that root, that backwards rabbit hole moves things forward too.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And the reverence that they've had. And anytime you can ever look up one of those, while a lot of the classic original guys were still alive, anytime they'll have those Rock and Roll Hall of Fame jams, pull one up on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, you can't imagine being in that room. That's really something else. So that was, I would say, musically, that was let's say that was the one seed. I mean, I grew up with Steely Dan, and my brother's 10 years older than me. So my taste in music were 10 years ahead of everybody else. I had all his albums. So I would ELO and Crosby, Stills and Nash and all those kind of things. So I had that as a background. And one other thing he had albums from the Firesign Theater, which is a 4-man comedy group, basically based out of Los Angeles. Began as 4 guys who got together for sort of a very avant-garde freeform radio show, right? Some of it scripted, but the joy of the Firesign Theater was 4 guys' ability to kind of, whose line is it anyway, to improv off of each other like an Olympic volleyball team, where they would be talking, you could tell something was scripted and they're going along, and then somebody hits the ball, and then there's not even a delay. It's like hit, and then somebody spikes it, and sometimes it's stunning where you go, how did these four minds just mesh like this? But the thing Firesign Theater did, and I think the album that really influenced me in comedy and in radio and everything was their 3rd album. It was called Don't Crush That Dwarf, Hand Me the Pliers. It was voted by Rolling Stone. It came out in I think 70, but in 83 Rolling Stone named it greatest comedy album of all time. That could have changed by now, don't know. It's gone into the National Recording Registry. Congress put it in there, called them the Beatles of comedy. It was their first album that was one full concept through the entire album, where it's a long story, one night in one man's life, exploring, as they say, the 5 ages of man. And what's great about it is it's not so much jokes. You know, it's not like da-da-da punchline, da-da-da punchline. The jokes come from the imagination of this world, this audio world, bizarre, surreal world that they create. And it was designed so that you had to listen to it. Not that you were invited to listen to it more than one time, but that to really get it, it was so layered either with complexity of humor or literally layered in background conversations, in something that's on the TV in the background of a scene is equally as funny as whatever is going on. And so, yeah, you had to put on headphones and sit and go back and listen and just, you know, I'm going to put in the left channel and just listen to that guy. And that really influenced me, I think, through 30 years of radio, was that sort of thing, that how do you really draw people in? It's not just bam, bam, bam jokes, but to create a world. When you're interviewing somebody, is there some element that the folks at home would benefit from? You either need to explain, or can it make for instance, the Outdoor Show would come to town every year, and they would always ask, hey, who do you want to come by to interview from the Outdoor Show? And I would think, who's the most aurally interesting guy? And I said, can we get the snake guy? And they were like, sure. And I said, can he bring a rattlesnake? And they were like, let's find out. And he did. So Rob, you know, as a radio guy, you work on a console. I ran the board. All right, I'm pushing the buttons. There's others in the room with me on the team, and it's an L-shaped console, so there's a countertop next to me. And the guy comes in, bends the microphone over, and puts a timber rattlesnake on the counter. Socially distanced. I'm 5 feet, maybe not the full 6, but I'm 5 feet. But what was great was, through the whole interview, the snake was just doing a wonderful, like Bo Diddley's maraca player, Jerome Green. The snake did just the Jerome Green. So the whole thing, you hear it's not just guys saying, yeah, we have snakes. You hear the right? Well, this drew a crowd, and there's a window that looks into the studio from the hallway. Drew a big crowd, and one of the sales guys of the radio station had a camera, and he wanted to get a picture, and he leaned in, and the glass is beveled. He leaned in, and his camera hit the glass, right? It hit, and it's like they always say at the zoo, don't tap the glass, right? He leans in, taps the glass. The snake immediately, the snake went rigid. The snake arched up, and the folks at home just heard the snake go, chicka, 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 chicka. It just was a hiss coming out of the tail end of the snake. And the air went out of the room. Everybody just went, oh. You've never been in a room with a really ticked off rattlesnake. And I thought that was the joy of it. That was the fun of it. To me, it was radio theater. And that's what the Firesign Theater was. They were, whether it was them literally getting professional sound effects in the background, or sometimes them literally doing a space drama, a space comedy, like on their album, Dear Friends, doing their own kind of Buck Rogers adventure with just slide whistles and going for a rocket ship. It was just funny. And it really showed me that you can build something much bigger than just a voice, you know, and that was it. And so that led me to everything you know is wrong, and the giant rat of Sumatra, and waiting for the electrician or somebody like it.
Somebody like him.
and their double Dear Friends is a great double album set, now on CD or MP3, but it's literally just excerpts, skits, conversations, nuggets from their old radio show. So just non sequitur kind of things, but bits that were just, oh my God, just fascinating stuff. And a lot of the Firesign Theater stuff is available free online that you can search around and find at various podcasts. And it's unlike anything others have tried. I think it's as distinct as Python is from Second City is from Firesign Theater.
I was going to ask, where did they fall in the timeline of those second cities of SNL and National Lampoons?
End of the end of the 60s, and then through the 70s. A lot of the heyday of the albums was through the 70s, and then they came back, had a resurgence, recorded some more. Two of the guys, Proctor and Bergman, did their own things. There was a movie that was very popular on the old Night Flight. I think Night Flight was Friday nights, I think, on TV.
Yeah, I think so.
And Night Flight, they had put together, they took Old Republic black and white serials and cut them together into one narrative. They took many different movies, cut them into one crazy narrative about a villain called the Lightning Bug, trying to subvert 1950s America with rock and roll.
Oh, no.
And the G-Man, kind of the agents who were trying to stop him. And it's overdubbed. The movie is there with all new dialogue. It's Woody Allen had done the same thing, but it was called J-Men Forever, and you can still find it out there. It is hilarious, and it was a huge Night Flight thing. Phil Proctor of the group has done a lot of TV work, everything from like guest starring roles on any of the big shows of the 70s, All in the Family, and on and on and on. And he does a lot of voice work and stuff too. But the heyday for this band was definitely in the counterculture days and in the early 70s. And so I probably heard this album probably by 78 or so, a few years, and as a kid, here was the other great thing. It was highbrow, and it was Python, highbrow, lowbrow, as lowbrow as a foot going on somebody, and as highbrow as, say, for instance, one of the albums makes reference to a place, the mysterious Isle of Langerhans.
Which is right there, I think, right behind your left shoulder.
I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
You're just thinking like, okay, Isle of Langerhans. That's funny.
It's right there, right behind your left shoulder.
Right. And then years later, I remember being in like health or biology class. And the teacher's like, today we're going to talk about the Isle of Langerhans. And it was like, wah! Just like, all of a sudden you just like burst out and like, oh my God, that's a thing. References to like guys like Aleister Crowley and things like that you think are just names. And then years later in history class or whatever, you're like, oh my God, that's a real guy. I get it. Like you talk about time delay jokes. And I'm used to having jokes that people don't get right away. But
they call you back about a week later. I get that now.
Right. And when this stuff was out too, you couldn't go Google search every line, so you had to wait. They were all they're fuses that were just slow burning. And all of a sudden you go, oh my God, years later, I get the joke. So I would say those two, Firesign Theater, Don't Crush It, Dwarf Hand Me the Pliers, and Junior Montana Cafe. Definitely, I could see where each one influenced me in musical taste and style.
Well, and even the Firesign Theater, if you kind of leap from that one, I'm going to guess that John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd were influenced by Firesign Theater, and they were kind of the impetus for you to discover blues, which made you jump back right to find out where they started. So that, again, that backwards rabbit hole, it all interconnects. But I think something that is really that's for you that is amazing is your ability. You took the Firesign Theater and the comedy, and you've got the ability to act and to sit there in a suit like that.
It's great. I think also the enchantment that these guys like Python, like SCTV, each guy could be three different characters in one skit, in one scene. Of course, it's easier for them in audio, but I was just enchanted by that. Like, well, you were three different guys and a woman and a dog in that skit. And so, you could see it just got, we did that in college radio. We got, whether it was funny or not, but we certainly, college radio, it was a wonderful place to try things out. And,
we did. We tried a few things out.
And the station is still there. So.
But what we do in radio, what we do though in radio, and what you've done, and what Firesign Theater did, and what National Lampoon Lampoon did though was they painted pictures for you on the radio, so it wasn't just about hearing all this comedy. You could see it, you can picture this, and that's what you do, or that's what you've done over the years too.
You remind me of some of the great guys like Howard Stern, Jerry Seinfeld. They credit Mad Magazine was a big part of their lives, and they said, and I agree with this, that when you read Mad Magazine as a kid, you thought, here are adults being very silly and naughty. You know what I mean? And it just seemed like, oh, adults aren't supposed to joke around like this, but I get it. I feel like I'm in on a club. SCTV was like you were in a private club. You felt intimate, like, I get what you're doing. And Firesign Theater, it was the same kind of thing, unlocking little secrets and feeling like you were kind of a part of it all. So that's those are two well springs. And I invite anyone who's never experienced Firesign, you can't go wrong. Pick anything. Pick How Can You Be in Two Places at Once, where you're not anywhere at all. You can't go wrong with any of them.
Just the album titles are enough. They're like onion headlines. Sometimes I just need the headline. I don't even read the article. Just the headline's funny enough. But I'm going to go back, and that's been kind of the fun thing about these, seeing people posting about their impactful records or impactful albums, is people are discovering, even myself. I'm not familiar with either of these albums that we talked about here tonight. So I'm going to enjoy going back now and checking them out, and keeping in mind. Yeah, you will love Hank Jr. and Huey Lewis, and the fact that the song just goes on like, we're not trying to make a hit record. We're in a room jamming on a Bo Diddley tune as long as we want to jam on it, and it's a ton of fun. So I invite everyone to check that out too. Can't judge a book. And I think I just saw an alien on a bicycle go by east to west. And then there was I think I saw the Flying Nun a few minutes ago too. So something's happening up there.
You know how the Flying Nun keeps her hat on? Force of habit.
And on that note, you've got a long trip back.
I'm coming, Sally.
All right.
Do you have enough gas?
Oh yeah, I got gas.
Oh, you do. Thanks, Brian Montgomery. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this. Yeah, this was fun. Brian, thanks. And hope you enjoyed Firesign Theater, Hank Williams Jr., Montana Cafe. Check them out.